Good day, everyone. So, this is my topic: management, staff, and institutional audit. This is included in our chapter 9 of the reference manual on project development and evaluation. So, it is very crucial and it is very important to know this topic: management, staff, and institutional audit, because it is the most appropriate form and internal structure of a project organization. But first, let us know what are those necessary criteria that we should consider. We have here letter A: define a project's objective, scope, and components. So it is very important to know what are the goals or what are the objectives of our business, because we need this to further evaluate our business, and we also need this to further develop every project that we have. So we need to have a goal, we need to set our expectation in different objectives in our business, so that um, we can understand, or we can easily know if the project was has being succeeded or not. So that's letter A. Letter B: identify other organizations, institution in the project environment with whom the project organization will interact. So it is also very important to know who are those organizations and institution that we will interact with, because we need to have a firm understanding to the responsibilities of every organization and institution that we have in this project. And we also need this to further evaluate whether they are capable of managing this project. And lastly, we have letter C: define the pattern of relationship with them, considering the nature of the project itself, nature and source of project inputs, nature of the project output, and the people who would be affected by the project. So, as what I am saying, it is very important to know who are those organizations and institution that we need to have, or we need to interact with, whether whether they are capable or not doing this project. We should know, and we also need to evaluate them and further develop the project with them, because the most important here is the project have input and outputs that every organization and institution are responsible of. So we should know of that, if they are capable of doing that project or not. And the most important also is that we have people who would be affected by the project. So it is important to um, consider the relationship with the organization and institution of the project itself. Thank you.
So, let's talk about manage capability. Is the approach to the management of an organization, typically a business organization or firm, based on the theory of firm as a collection capability that may be exercised to earn revenues in the marketplace. Why is management capability important? Organizations that have strong management capabilities believe that the managers are critical for the ability to attract, retain, and motivate employees. So, what is capability example? The ability or state of being capable and major has demonstrate has a ability to handle municipal problems.
Good day everyone, I'm May Agustin and I'm going to tackle about the staff capability. A group of a person as employee charged with carrying out the work of an establishment or executing something undertaking. In short, ang meaning po ng staff is isang empleyado or isang tauhan ng isang kumpanya. And another definition of capability is all about the employee's ability to do their job. Ang meaning ng capability is isang kakayahan ng isang empleyado sa kanyang trabaho. Staff capability is kung ano yung kakayahan mo bilang isang empleyado sa isang company or sa isang trabaho. So, under ng staff capability is project manager should draw up manning table indicating the needed skills level and experience for each of the key staff position. So, meaning ng manning table is dun nakalagay yung pagkakasunod-sunod ng schedule ng isang empleyado or kung ano yung mga dapat nilang trabahuin sa isang trabaho or sa isang company. If some positions are already filled, the incumbent will be interviewed to come up with response to the following question. So, meaning lang nun, kapag nandun ka na sa posisyon na yun, may mga tanong or may mga kailangan kang sagutin kung talagang dun ka dapat sa posisyon na yun. So, ito yung question na dapat mong sagutin kapag nandun ka na sa posisyon na yun. Do the staff member understand the nature of the project and what their job responsibility entail? So, meaning lang nun, naiintindihan ba ng employee mo yung mga responsibility nila sa trabaho, kung ano yung mga nakatoka sa kanila, or kung ano yung mga dapat nilang gawin. So, yung pangalawang tanong naman is, have they had any prior experience there with the management team or the similar project? So, meaning lang nun is, kailangan mong tanungin yung staff mo kung may experience na ba sila sa isang trabaho or sa isang management or sa isang project na kung ano yung nakatoka sa kanila or sa gawain na dapat nila gawin. And the third question is, ito yung pinaka-importante mong dapat tanungin sa tauhan mo or sa employee. Are the process in the place to allow key staff members to voice their concern about actual or potential problem to manage team? Staff members are often aware of problem and difficulties in raised but unable to communicate this concern to management because of personal or bureaucratic roadblocks. So, yun. Naka-importante bilang isang tauhan or isang employee is marunong ka dapat sumagot sa mga concern ng isang customer or sa mga tanong na dapat mong sagutin, especially kapag may isang problem sa isang company na kailangan agad solusyonan para hindi na mahirapan makapag-communicate sa customer, lalo na kapag alam mong i-handle yung isang customer the way you talk about them. And last question, do the key staff member have any recommendation to make about how the project is organized? Importante din na turuan mo yung tauhan mo na maging organized sa isang project o sa isang company para hindi magkaroon ng difficulties pagdating sa mga gawain ng isang trabaho or sa mga gagawin mo. And then, pwede ka rin magbigay ng recommendation sa iba mong pang tauhan kung paano magiging organized ang isang bagay. Yun lamang po. Thank you.
What is institutional capability? Institutional capability is the goal to implement a contract, either it's public or private contract. The goal has to be set through economical goal, knowledge, skill system of the institution. What are we gonna tackle in institutional capability? The capability of the institution depends on the part on whether or not it will be part of the sole agency involved or whether it will be have to coordinate the activities with other agencies. We're gonna tackle about the project that can be implemented through the economic with the private or public contract. With this, we're gonna have the adequacy and inadequacy. So what is adequacy? Adequacy is the capability or suitability of something. And inadequacy is the lack of quantity and quality required. So what is adequacy in institutional capability? Adequacy of manpower resources is a necessary but not sufficient condition in the effective execution of a project. Equal importance is the adequacy of an organization power and authority is considered of a project nature and scope, and the extent of which participation and cooperation of the other agency are required. The extent to which function of the organization being considered to implement the project overlapped or compete with those other organizations should be similar to be examined. The existence of the competing institution can seriously hamper the capacity of the organization implement the project, especially if it has relatively less power or authority. So, if we don't have proof or contract to be implemented with the project, it cannot be, hindi natin siya magagawa kasi we have no authority of the land that we have to implement the said project. So, if it should be determined that the agency chosen to implement the project has institutional inadequacy. So, ano nga po pala yung inadequacy? Inadequacy is a lack of quantity and quality required. Then, appropriate step must be taken to rectify them. For instance, additional authority might be given to the agency through legislation, executive order, etc. Moreover, the pattern of the institutional relationship between the agency, which will have primary responsibility for the project, execution, and other agency which will participate and cooperate might have been altered. The change in the pattern of the institutional relationship must be introduced and viewed with the enhancing of the capacity of the implementing agencies, secure them, and require them to the cooperation from the other agency. When we do institutional capability, we have to have unity. We need to cooperate and make sure that it's legal, and also it is already examined of the aspect and the capability included. That's all. And
Forms of ownership. There are 4 common types of business ownership: sole proprietorship, partnership, cooperative, corporation. The first is sole proprietorship. Sole proprietor is someone who owns an incorporated business by himself or herself, also known as individual entrepreneurship. The second is partnership. Partnership is called general partnership, are businesses with more than one owner. As well, the responsibility for managing the company and the income and losses the business generates. The third is cooperative. Cooperative are owned by the member or the people who use the service of cooperative. Some cooperative are employed on, for example, retail supply, utilities, cable television. And the last is corporation. A corporation, sometimes called a corp, is a legal entity that's separate from its owner. Corporation can make a profit and be held legally liable. The example of the corporation is San Miguel Corporation, Jollibee Corporation, Robinson Land Corporation, Petron Corporation, BDO Unibank Corporation, and last is Ascension.
Hi, this is Stephanie reporting the characteristic of well-designed goals and objectives. Ano nga ba yung mga goals and objectives na yon? First, express in terms of results rather than action. Which is, come up ka muna ng result. Ano bang gusto mong kahihinatnan bago ka mag-take ng action. Second, measurable and quantifiable. Siyempre, may measurement ka. Ano bang gusto mong, hanggang saan ba yung gusto mong i-achieve? Like, may percentage ka, may numbers ka. And next, clear time frame. Hanggang kailan mo ba siya gustong ma-achieve? Yung objectives na yon, hanggang kailan ba meron ka dapat nun? Clear dapat siya. Challenging and yet attainable. So, challenging siya pero at the same time nag-enjoy ka para less stress. Write her down on a paper. So, lalo na yung mga keys, kailangan tinitake down note siya. Lastly is communicated to all members of the organization. Ika nga nila, communication is the key to success. So, dapat nandyan siya lagi. So, yun yung mga objectives and goal. After all the objectives established, then the next step is an overall implementation plan. Ano ba yung mga implementation plan? First, basic consideration in performing the organization. Ano nga ba to? The purpose project must be related and the studies for marketing, technical, and financial are relevant to the organization and management. Of course, kailangan consideration, relevant siya sa management or sa organization mo. Next is form of ownership. We have several forms of ownership. First is single sole proprietorship or sole proprietorship. Ano nga ba to? Ito ay type of enterprise owned and run by one person, which there is no legal distinction between owner and government. So, it means own siya ng isang tao lang at walang pakialam or walang related sa government. Nakakapag-business ka ng hindi ka pinapakilaman ng gobyerno. Pangalawa, partnership. From the word itself, partnership. An arrangement between two or more people to oversee business operations and share its profit and liabilities. So, may kasosyo ka na sinashoulder yung profit and liabilities ng business. Third form of ownership, which is corporation, ranging from small to large scale enterprises. We have three, which is micro, small, medium. So, any business activity or enterprise engaged in industry, agribusiness, and or services, whether it's a sole proprietorship, cooperative, partnership, and corporation, those total asset must have value falling under those three enterprises, which is small, micro, and medium. For the small, the asset value would be ₱1 billion. Small is 3,000,001 peso up to 15 million. Medium would be 15 million to 1 peso to 100 million. And the last form of ownership is cooperative organization, which is as association of person that is owned and controlled by people to meet their common economic, social, and or cultural needs and aspiration through jointly owned and democratic controlled business. So, sila yung mga businesses na ang kumokontrol is taong bayan. Mostly government businesses to. And those are the forms of ownership. Third implementation is organizational chart. So organizational chart is more like family chart in a family. But on a business, it's organizational chart. So, from owner up to employee, naka-organizational chart yan. More or less nakikita nyo yan sa wall. May mga Hall of Fame, mga ganyan. Yan yung organizational chart. Yung pang-apat na implementation is officers and key personnel. Ano ba to? Officers, key personnel? Ito sila ay yung mga person in charge sa business. So, meron niyang mga qualification, background, educational background, work experience, worth ng position na bagay sa kanila. Yan yun. Like, management, operation management, ganyan. Mga supervisor, like that. And last implementation is project schedule. Syempre, may project schedule. So, hanggang kailan mo ba siya gustong i-prepare? So, kailangan yung project mo, prepare mo siya in a certain time. Meron kang time frame. Like sa objectives natin, diba? May time frame tayo. Hanggang saan natin kailangan tapusin yung isang project. May schedule ka para sa preparation ng project. And that is all. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Eusebio M. Lontok III from BSBA 44MM, and my topic is basic consideration. Once the objective and goals have been established, the next step is to implement the said plan. This will be discussed under the organization and the management study. One of these is considering the basic in forming the organization, also known as basic consideration. We shall determine the purpose of the project, who will benefit while it is done, and such. If this is already established, the next thing to do is to consolidate inputs concerned departments such as the marketing department, who will be the targeting beneficiary of this, how they will market and introduce this product. Another department concerns with the technical staff, how will this be reinforced that will be needed to execute the said project. And last, we should always consider the financial aspect or the finance department to allotted budget on how much should be spent for this project, and if the budget in mind is enough to cover all expenses. Those are the basic consideration in organization and management study. There are several factors that will still be discussed by my other group mates moving forward. Thank you.
The purpose of this subject is to be aware of the external and internal environment in the market The figure that will shown on the screen shows the different position in the organization. It also entails that if something is wrong in the company, they would know whom are they going to approach.
Project schedule. So what is project schedule? A project schedule is a timetable that shows the start and the end of all project tasks and how the tasks relate to each other and usually which team members or other resources are responsible for delivery. A project schedule is the listing of activities, deliveries, and milestones within a project. This also usually includes a planned start and finish date, duration, and resources assigned to each activity. The purpose of this project schedule is to guide the team to the end. It also measures TIC for assessing the performance and evaluating progress. It is important to a business to plan the activities so that they can achieve the 3 goals and priorities. So there are 3 main types of project schedule. So master schedule, milestone, and details. So what is master schedule? So master schedule, a summary level schedule that highlights the key tasks and their statement duration. So it is an early communication tool among stakeholders which shows the major deliveries, key milestone, and summary of work breakdown structure activities. So the milestone schedule tracks major milestones but not every task or deliverable. So a milestone schedule, it is used when project managers or sponsors need to share an overview of the project schedule with stakeholders or team members within going over every detail. So the detailed schedule. So this is the more operational level schedule that tracks every project activity. So a detailed project schedule determine the resources, dates, time for carrying out operations, taking resources and product availability into consideration. Support the scheduler in scheduling resources, that is, when creating an optimal processing sequence for operations. So the project schedule, so there are many tools and techniques. So what is the tools and techniques for project scheduling? One is task list, Gantt chart, work breakdown structure, schedule network analysis, critical path method, and PERT charts. So the tools and techniques, so the task list. So the task list contains specific tasks assigned to a task and when the task needs to be done. So the Gantt chart. The Gantt chart is to help you assess how long a project should take, determine the resources needed, and plan the order in which you complete tasks. So the work breakdown structure. So a hierarchical reflection of all the works in the project in terms of deliverables. So from schedule work network analysis, it is used to identify early and late start dates as well as early and late finish dates for the incomplete portions of project schedule activities. So for the critical path method, it is a technique where you identify tasks that are necessary for project completion and determine scheduling flexibilities. So and the last one is the PERT chart. So tools used to schedule, organize, and coordinate tasks within a project. So the primary purpose of project management tools is to help managers plan, execute, and control all the aspect of the project management process. So companies rely on key tools and for managing a project to ensure that each task is complete on time and to balance staff workload for optimal time management. So the project schedule example. So the project schedule samples is deliveries, task description, task duration, task start and end date, task deficiencies, project calendar, work packages, budgets, resources availability, and schedule risk analysis. So the number one is deliveries. So what is deliveries? So for deliveries, it is a description of the outputs created by work done. So example, an app an app will be created that enables users to record their daily food intake. So for the task description, a task description of the outcome you want to produce. So example, one of the tasks is writing a user help guide containing facts. So from the task duration, entire time taken to complete a task. So example, we estimate that the creation of the user's health guide will take one person 3 working days. Task and the end date. So definitions, the dates the task will start and finish. So example, we have scheduled the user's guide to be created between May 4 to May 8, then, and that's the example. So from task deficiencies, relationship between tasks. So the example for that is we cannot commence building the app until we design for approval. So from the project calendar, so it defines the working and non-working times. So when it comes to project calendar, so weekends are not included as work days in our schedules. So from work packages, a group of related tasks within a project. So example for that is the app needs to testing before its launch. Testing is work package and tasks within the target package between compatibility testing, interface testing, security testing, and beta testing. So from the budgets, a detailed estimate of all costs expected during the project. Example for that, we have to include $85,000 in the budget for the subcontracted app designer. So from resources availability, what resources you have available, when they are available, and any conditions of the availability. So from schedule risk analysis, a technique to connect the risk profile of task to the schedule. So that's all.
I'm Eliza Mayray, and I'm going to discuss the continuation of the capability management. The strategy and management understanding of it can be assessed by asking the following questions. First is the strategy consistent? A project that has to produce tailor-made output uses an inflexible manufacturing process more geared for mass production. A project marketing policy requires extensive credit, but the firm is strapped for cash and interest rates are high. The second one is the strategy and project consistent with the demands, opportunities, and constraints of the external environment? Does the management understand the markets for the project outputs? Does the management team know its competitors and the agencies supplying substitute services? Could these competitors take action that may reduce a project chances of success? The third one is the strategy and the project appropriate in the light of available resources? What do the company or agency and its manager do best? Are management skills well suited to the project, or would they be better deployed elsewhere? And the fourth is the degree of risk involved with the project acceptable? What are the commercial and technical risks associated with the project? Does management understand these risks? The fifth is the project time horizon appropriate? Do managers believe they can complete the project on time and within budget? Where are delays likely to arise? Lastly, is the strategy embodied in a project workable? Has the management team worked together before a similar project in the Philippines? If not, does it appear to constitute a homogeneous, well-functioning group? How do the manager propose to resolve disputes and disagreements? So that's the question that you're going to ask in the strategy and management for understanding.
Good day. I am Raul Saragon from BSBA 44MM, and my topic is all about institutional relationship. So, what is institutional relationship? Institutional relationship is a professional activity. Professional activity that consists of defending the legitimate interest of groups and companies before public or private administrations and communicating information about a particular sector, activity, or group in a transparent manner. Based on legitimacy. All the activities are based on criteria of legitimacy, fairness, and transparency with regard to both information disseminated in public agencies and to the relationships established directly with the institutional stakeholders, and contribute to the creation of business value. It contributes to the creation of business value through an articulated and stable system of external relations aimed at individual belonging to the public administration in order to ensure adequate representation of the group's interest during different phases of the public decision-making process. And when do institutional relationships become more complicated? When large, multi-purpose projects are being considered. Many governments will be required to be involved since institutional relationships are based on legitimacy. Government sectors are needed for the permits and for its legality, but they needed to be structured to avoid having a great impact on the organization as well as to let it function smoothly as much as possible.
So before we discuss institutional analysis, let us define first the definition of institution or institutional. So institutional is having to do with an institution or an established company or place, while analysis is the process as a method of studying the nature of something or determining its essential features and their relations. So therefore, institutional analysis is undertaken to find out whether a project proposal have the required command or authority and human resources with sufficient ability and experience to implement a project as planned. The following issues should be addressed in order to know if a certain project proposal has the ability to be implemented as planned. So the first one is, does the entity that will implement the project have the mandate or authority to implement the project? And the second one is the entity that is supposed to manage a project properly organized and is management adequately equipped to handle the project? And the third one is, are local capabilities and facilities being properly utilized? And the fourth one is there a need for changes in the policy and institutional setup outside this entity? And the fifth one is, does the entity have the financial and absorptive capacity to undertake the project? So before we discuss institutional analysis, let us define first the definition of institution or institutional. So institutional is having to do with an institution or an established company or place, while analysis is the process as a method of studying the nature of something or determining its essential features and their relations. So therefore, institutional analysis is undertaken to find out whether a project proposal have the required command or authority, and human resources with sufficient ability and experience to implement a project as planned.
And key personnel. These person duties include directing the whole organization, formulating the business long-term strategy, serving as the company spokesperson, guiding daily operation, and creating company culture that serves its intended vision. Key personnel are those people who are essential to carrying out the work of a project, typically those responsible for the design, conduct, and reporting of the research. Key personnel includes police, co-police, and a third category known as key persons.